when there is a crisis, you somehow always want to go back to your parents.
I'm just a mommy daddy's girl.
Our episode today is about all thing relationships, but relationships with your parents.
My message to everybody is always like vitamin F.
If you get irritated by their constant attention and constant, sitting on your head, but you're like, who else will do this?
One person who says, oh, my dad always smoked, so I can smoke. The other person says, my dad always smoked, that's why I'm never going to smoke.
Your parents, they're my two favorite people, in the world, in that generation.
Call them every day, speak to them every day.
One thing my dad tells me, which now I understand: laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone.
Welcome to Love Rollercoaster. This is a podcast which is about all things relationships. I am your host, in fact, your co-host, Gaurav Bhagat, and with me is...
Mrinalini.
And today we have a very special guest, someone who has been a dear friend of the family. And our episode today is about all things relationships, but relationships with your parents. And for that, I want to welcome Avi. Avi, welcome to Love Rollercoaster.
Thank you. I love the format. Congratulations. Making it happen.
Yeah, so this is our inaugural, series, and we couldn't think of a better person to actually start this with.
Awesome.
So, Mrinalini, you have something to ask Avi?
Yeah, so I guess this episode is going to be about relationships with your family. I mean, more specifically, parents. And I think parents are the people who shape you, whether in a good way
Yeah.
or not so good way.
Yeah.
But I feel that they have the most important role to play in our lives.
Right.
And wanted to hear about what your relationship is with your parents and how they have shaped you as a human being.
So, I talk about my parents a lot. Maybe because I'm an entrepreneur, they're entrepreneurs. So actually we vibe and clash both because we all have opinions for each other's businesses. And because I think sometimes we feel angry with our parents because they're in our heads even when we don't want them to be. Right? Every decision you're taking, अच्छा पापा ऐसे बोलते, मम्मी ऐसे बोलती, I'm like, यार मैं अकेले क्यों नहीं सोच सकता? But वो तो कुछ कह भी नहीं रहे. But they're in your head.
Yeah.
So you're getting angry with them, and then when they call you, they've got 3 missed calls. Why did you call up? पूरा दिन आप ही से तो बात कर रहा था. नहीं, मैं तो तुमसे 2 दिन से बात नहीं करी. But in my head, I was talking to you. So that's how your parents are in your head all the time in a good way.
Yeah.
I've also seen, outside India, some of my friends, or friends I made recently, have the most toxic relationship with their parents. And I've tried to study this as an interesting topic for all of us, right? There is this, you feel constantly the need to be like somebody, but at the same time, you don't want to be them. Like, for example, and there are two kinds of people who come out. There's one person who says, oh, my dad always smoked, so I can smoke. The other person says, my dad always smoked, that's why I'm never going to smoke. But why does it have to be something that is in relation to this person always? So I'm never being able to stand up. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying one is not able to stand up as their own man, because like हमेशा मुझे उनकी, but उन्होंने तो कुछ नहीं बोला आपको.
Yeah.
So this whole first part of my answer is that these are people who have given birth to you. They're always in your head.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell you how to do the right thing, and they're going to tell you what to do right and what not to do ever. So look at their good, do it, and what they're bad, take it out of you. Not easy to do, but that's one. But second thing about my parents is that they're my coaches. I've now recently hired 2 coaches, but before that, there's 1 year back, since I was 47, I used to say they're my coaches. And because I think when a person goes to a coach or a mentor, most times, for the first conversations, the coach is going to give you advice based on the input you give them. और input तो हम देते हैं, हमने सब कुछ किया फिर भी नहीं चल रहा मेरा business. ऐसे कभी हो नहीं सकता. But if I go and take that bullshit to my dad, तुमने सब कुछ किया फिर भी नहीं चल रहा. कितने बजे उठते हो, कितने बजे सोते हो, क्या करते हो, all those things. So you're like, they go to call a spade a spade. So today's generation, I mean, not us, not me, 47, 48, I'm talking about today's generation is running away from their parents because उन्हें लगता है कि मैं बाहर जाके किसी मेंटर या किसी के सामने झूठ बोल के अपनी नई इमेज बना सकता हूँ और घर वाले तो मुझे सीधा सच बोल दे, तेरे बस की नहीं है, तो सुबह उठता नहीं है. तो क्या हो गया अगर वो आपको चैलेंज कर रहे हैं सच बोल के? Why are you running away? So my message to everybody is always like vitamin F. Call them every day, speak to them every day, hug them, गालियाँ सुनो उनकी, डांट सुनो उनकी, और उसमें से कुछ ना कुछ निकलेगा. So that's my relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
Like that.
And then what about you, Gaurav?
So, of course, I am someone who's taken a lot from both my parents. My mom, unfortunately, passed away now. We're talking about 20 years ago. But I think she was perhaps one of, the kindest, most generous people, I ever knew. Even when she didn't have, she was always giving.
I think, and you got it from her.
Yeah. So I think that
For
part
sure.
comes from there. And I think a lot of heart comes from there. I think the head aspect and the headstrongness comes from my dad because, dad's been super resilient. I mean, he has a guy who's been, beaten down multiple times, in his life. And he's always happened to bounce back. And we're talking about even till a few years ago, when there would be some adversity, he'd be like, I'm okay. So, the never give in motto that, he's had. And I think I take a lot of that, from him. Sometimes, we don't perhaps, see eye to eye. And there is a degree of where I'm like always super positive, and he can be a little skeptical. Like Abhi said, your parents sometimes, bring you down to earth, and they're seeing something that you're not, and you could be very gung ho about something, but it's an idea that's not making sense to them, and they don't hold back. Like he said, they call a spade, and them calling a spade is sometimes being perceived by me as so negative.
Yeah.
But the truth is that perhaps he's just being a realist, okay? But by virtue of our thought process being different, there's a bit of conflict. But I mean, all said and done, he's a great guy.
But also, I think he's coming at it from his perspective, right? From where his experiences, maybe things have not worked out well for him when he's tried to do something new. And as a result, he's a little afraid that
Yeah.
you might face the same
Yeah.
setbacks and you
And
might
I
have.
think he also comes from perspective where he had a very strict father, right?
Yeah.
And his relationship with his father, and the gap was so large because he was the youngest of, of four siblings. His father was almost like a grandfather to him. Okay, and it was a different time. He was very strict. And so I think there is, a little bit of overhang, from there as well. And yeah, so that's them. And like I said, fine people, and mom wherever she is, well, God bless her soul. And I think she's left a positive impression. And I just think that carrying forward that legacy is important to me. But your parents, I mean, they're my two favorite people, in the world, in that generation. So how's your relationship been with them, and what's the impact that your parents have had on you?
Oh my God. I mean,
That last comment is going to get a lot of women followers for him. अच्छा लगता है, and he is recognized. But I'm just saying,
he always knows the right things he say
Amazing.
at all times. Okay. But it's true. Yeah, I'm just a mommy daddy's girl.
Yeah.
Like I do everything. Like you said, they're my coaches,
Yeah.
mentors. I've learned. I call my mother like 3 times a day. If I don't call her for 2 days, I'm like, what happened? Forgotten me? I'm like, no. I mean, I'm sorry. Or I'll make some excuse.
Yeah.
But I mean, for anything, like anything happens, like the first person I would call is my mom. And she is wise. She's given me, like, anytime I need a solution to any problem, I call my mom first because I know she'll have the answer.
Yeah.
And she's the one who tells me, I mean, the one thing I remember more than anything else, two things actually. One thing she says always is, people can take everything from you, but they can't take away your character. Okay. And the other thing is, she says, never be the cause of anyone's pain.
Very good.
So, and these two things I have held on to. And the advice she gives me, my children, my friends, everybody is just invaluable. So, anytime
That
I'm
number मिलेगा?
like, Mommy,
Yeah.
this is what happened. Help me. I need this. I need that. Like, this is, and then she always has something wise to say. And I always come away from that call feeling like, I know how to move forward.
Lovely.
And my dad has always just supported us. When we were in school, getting up to all kinds of trouble, he's like the chilled out guy. My mother's like the stressor. So he's always been like, every time we got into trouble, like big trouble in school, my mother was fretting, like, what's going to happen? She's got this headmaster's card and it's going to affect her. My father, like, it's okay.
Khush raho bas.
My father's like, he was such a naughty kid in his own school. He ran away from school, everything. He's like, it's okay. Kids will be kids. Don't worry about it.
Figure out हो जाती है.
Yeah.
हाँ.
So they've both been, and I'll never forget this one thing my dad tells me, which now I understand, is like, laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right? And what I meant was like, do you always have to be laughing? But it's like, if you're always whining, if you're always crying, if you're always sad, no one's going to give a shit.
Right.
Right? Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, this person's just such a pain in the ass to be with. Like, just
Yeah.
move away. So you got to make yourself happy. You got to keep yourself happy. And it's now that I figured this out. But I will never forget him. He's said it so many times.
Beautiful.
they're just my foundation.
So true. So, Avi, like, tell me, growing up, okay, and you were like, at least in school, okay, you had a reputation, and you were quite the rebel.
Well, ambition.
So, what was it like with your dad? Your dad was strict, right? Was it ever come down to the fact where he was like super firm or harsh or anything like that?
Yeah, so my dad, so I had a lot of car crashes, 7 totals we had, and I feel so bad, and I apologize.
What age?
College?
Yeah.
So, but I was like, because उनको कितना तंग किया, and like my kids are growing up, वो गाड़ी लेके जाती है, so I'm like, but I can imagine, but अब मैं sorry बोल सकता हूँ, उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं कर सकता. Over a period of a few years, but I remember that my dad used to say that, my mom used to say, well, same thing, that, what the hell, get out of the house, enough is enough, we can't do this, we have our own stress too. मेरे को तो रेस जीतनी थी, 1000 रुपए की bet.
Correct.
For that
This is Fast and the Furious Bhagat Singh version.
Exactly. हम रात को करते. We used to. I mean, I was a crazy race fan. There was nothing called speed limit. But
And that time the roads were not as crowded as they are now.
हाँ. So my dad used to always say, drawing room में रख लो गाड़ी. क्योंकि रोड पे जाएगी तो लगेगी यार. Are you okay? जाओ सो जाओ. And really, so he was always like that. He used to just say कि सुबह उठ के काम पे चले जाना. 6 बजे, 6:30, 7. और कभी वापस मत आना. He's a tough task master. like 12 घंटे, 14 घंटे. क्रिसमस पे तुमने क्यों छुट्टी करनी है, होली पे क्यों छुट्टी करनी है, उसमें क्यों करनी है. वेल, हर he was like, keep working. As long as you're working, he never said anything about it. Nothing. He always told my mom कि हमने इतने अच्छे values भरे हैं, because he used to take us to the Arya Samaj Mandir every Sunday, and then we used to go to the Gurdwara, and we used to sit and watch, listen to the part, the Gurbani, and also listen to the Pravachan. So my dad always told mom that you have no idea, we've already injected all of that, will come back. ये तो youth है, ये सब तो करना ही है उसको. But ये जो डाला है वो वापस, I didn't believe it. I was like, really? इनको हम तो वहाँ सुनते भी नहीं थे, हम तो सो जाते थे. डैड को इतना कॉन्फिडेंस आ रहा है on the वो प्रवचन, हम तो, but it all started coming back.
Yep.
So dad was cool. Mom was, I used to get slapped, man. I used to tell her, she said, no, मैंने कभी हाथ नहीं लगाया. I said, कभी हाथ नहीं लगाया, आप थकते नहीं थे थप्पड़ मार मार के तब मारे को.
But once you have children,
Right.
you just realize what they dealt with.
Oh my
right?
God.
Oh my God.
मैंने हाथ जोड़ के माफी मांगी है.
I didn't say that.
हाँ बार. I was like, seriously, मुझे नहीं पता था मेरे से इतनी बड़ी गलती हुई है. इतनी सारी sleepless nights आपको दी है हाथ. So अभी my daughter was supposed to come back at 12. She came back into one night. It was about 1 year ago. And I called my dad. एक मेरे को बोला, अच्छा चलो सब क्या हो गया बेटा. ये से चलो अब तुम्हारी बारी है. I was like, क्या बता आपको ये रिवेंज है, like मजा आ रहा है. Like चीज़ें नहीं but it's, ये तो हो नहीं था.
Every time I click to my dad, oh my God, this one did this one did that. He's like, oh, what did you do when you were that age? Oh my God. I was like, please, I don't need it thrown back at me. But one day I actually called my mother, the kids, like about 5-7 years ago. And I called her and I said, Mom, I forgive you. I forgive you for all the slaps. I forgive you for all the screaming at me. I forgive you for everything that you said that upset me, hurt me, whatever. I forgive you completely.
Do you also forgive me?
I mean, their love is so,
Unconditional.
unconditional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing to forgive.
But now when you're in your 40s, हम अभी भी business बना रहे हैं, और उसके बीच में बच्चे, फिर parents growing old, there's too much to handle. तो then you feel उनके साथ कितना कुछ था जो आप कहते हैं मैं तो पार्टी करके आया हूँ, इतना क्या शोर मच रहा है यार, एक मैं तो पार्टी नहीं कर सकता.
And they were tough, man. They were tough. They had a lot of
I mean,
things.
I was just listening to both you guys, and we said, okay, you got slapped up and you got slapped up. Believe it or not, I got slapped only once growing up. Okay, and maybe that time I deserved it, because what had happened is around my birthdays, I was given an air gun, right? And I'm on the roof, and my brother is cycling, and we used to be in our house and new friends, and he's cycling, like, yeah, you can't shoot me.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. So I I aim, and I pull the trigger. I didn't realize I'm gonna hit him, and I was aiming low, but it actually hit him on his ankle. And the next thing I know, he's passed out, like he's on the road, right? His cycle's crashed, and yeah. So of course, I think that was deserving, and that's the only time my dad actually hit me. After that, he never hit me.
So I used to get into a lot of fights. I used to love fighting, and so कभी खून वून निकला होता था, all of that. So mom used to be like, now wait, your dad is going to come, and dad used to come out and say like, क्या अच्छा mom के सामने कुछ बोलना पड़ेगा, because ये तो उनको लगेगा कुछ नहीं बोला. किससे लड़के आए हो, कितने लोग थे, अच्छा चलो कल उनको देखते हैं. Like he was always on my side. Mom was the one who used to panic and everything for just being a mom, but dad never said anything. Maths अच्छे नंबर नहीं आए, रेड सर्कल आ रहा है, इस सब्जेक्ट में फेल हो रहे हो. That was like he brainwashed me into thinking that I am enough. He used to say, ये कर देगा, ये कर देगा.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to think, I think कुछ कमी है ही नहीं. So he never let me believe कि जो भी सब लोग कह रहे हैं उसकी वजह से कोई कमी होने वाली है.
Yeah.
So that,
I think all three of our parents have been like our biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I can definitely say that for both of you. You've definitely done them proud, with the, people that you've actually grown up to be and the stuff that impact you've had. I mean, even on your families and how you kind of
so
brought.
basically he's saying that he's saying hats off to you for marrying somebody like,
Yeah.
married the right people.
Choose the right person. So my mother was asked, so, when we got married, he was not doing well. I mean, I just, I was working at a job. I was earning a decent amount of money and everything. And somebody asked my mom, so you never had an issue with, Mrinalini marrying into, a family where, you never asked about his finances. You never asked about anything. So she just had one thing to say to them. She says, I trust her. She says, I trust her judgment
That's very
that I know she will never marry somebody who's not going to be good to her. She says, I know her values. I know what she is. And she will never marry someone who's not good for her. She says, and she met Gaurav. I think we were dating for about three years. She met him 6 months before we were supposed to get married. 8 months before we were getting married for the first time.
We'd pretty much
And-
decided, and
Yeah.
and then I remember, like, she's like, okay, before we get married, you have to at least meet my dad. And her dad at the time was working in Vietnam, and I remember taking that trip across, and because till then, I mean, so they're so chill, right? But they also have such a great degree of trust on their kids, and I think that's just phenomenal. I mean, my mom,
Avi parents? Or?
she was tea garden, but yeah, my parents, I mean, yeah, they were like, like, okay, who are you going out with? What's happening? They want to know everything. Her parents, I mean, they just
Because I've never lived with them, right? I've been in boarding school since the age of 7. So boarding school, and then I went down to Bombay for my, for college, and then stayed on there. And I've always had that level of independence when I'm away from them. But when I'm with them, oh my God, went on a holiday to Russia with them. This was about in 2018. Okay, I'm 40 plus. They treated me like I was 10. Where are you going? Why are you staying out so late? Why are you doing this? What time are you coming back? I went out for dinner with, these people that we were with, the youngsters, because we'd gone with my parents' friends.
Sure.
And then the bachas were all the 40 plus.
Yeah.
So we went out for dinner and they were like, oh, let's go for a cruise, like river cruise. And I was like, my dad would be freaking out because we didn't have net
roaming.
roaming. As soon as I entered the hotel, 12 o'clock at night, my father calls, where are you?
So पहले जो नहीं पूछा वो अब सब.
Like, when I'm with them, then, when I'm away, they don't care what I'm doing,
I'm going to be 50 years old, and for me, I'm a Japanese in when it comes to tub baths, right? I put the salt and the candles and everything. I that's my de-stress. My mom, this is last year. My mom had a dream कि मैं tub में डूब के मर जाऊंगा or something. So उन्होंने tub. I went to the bathroom the next day. ऑफिस से आया, वो से tub को तोड़ के नीचे फ्लैट बना दिया shower. I said, she said नहीं मुझे. I said ठीक है. क्या कर सकते? What can you say? आपको नींद आ रही है ना? चलो ठीक है. मैं किसी होटल में चेक इन करूंगा तो वहां तब बात कर लूंगा.
And you spend so much time on the road, right? I mean, you're traveling between, conferences, events, work, and all of that. How do they take to that? I mean, because I've somehow seen this thing recently that started with my dad, that he wants to know, when have I landed? When have I taken off?
Yeah.
It would never bother him 5-7 years ago. But now, as he's maybe heading towards, his late 70s, he's now start asking, so have you landed? Where are you? What's really happened?
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I just don't want to freak them out, so sometimes I don't tell them, like, like I'm going to go out tonight. So I'm like, अगर मैंने उनको बताऊं नहीं बताऊं कि अगर बताऊंगा तो अच्छा बैग में क्या डल रहा है, क्या है, ऑफिस मीटिंग, सब कुछ समथिंग इमीडिएटली वो अपने आप को स्ट्रेस आउट कर रहे हैं, इससे मत बताओ. बट देन यू फील नहीं बताओ, दे फील बैड. But it's a blessing to have, but they get freaked out, because of a lot of things. So you're right, Gaurav, whenever so flight tracker और वो ड्राइवर को भेजा और वो अंदर से जा सकता है. I know somebody जो अंदर आ सकता है, वो बाहर आ सकता है. Great, it's always great as long as it's not troubling you. And my dad doesn't like to sleep till 3 a.m. at night, so he's like, मैं pick करूँगा and मैं drop करूँगा. All those things are like,
How many people will do this for you?
yeah.
So sometimes when if you get irritated by their constant attention and constant, sitting on your head, But you're like, who else will do this? Like, this is the purest form of, but somebody being attached to you with that kind of love, who else will give this to you?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just value it, like now it doesn't even annoy me.
So
Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm just so grateful that I have people who love me so much that, they want to know everything and
you
they
know,
care for me.
when they talk about this serotonin or whatever comes out because you feel happy, I think that also you get from a hug, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why when they say all, only love is real. So when you get that, then you get all the vitamins and the drugs and everything. उससे skin भी better हो जाती है, दिखते भी अच्छे हो, confident भी लगते हो, success भी मिलती है. That hug is a very important this thing. So a lot of people say that, हाँ 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 ठीक है, mom सुन लिया. But like we've been taught to say, I didn't hear you. Yeah, I love you, mom. I love you.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
That's and I teach everybody, and I'm so grateful that my kids also, there's party of 20 people. Bye, dad, love you. So ये तो होना चाहिए.
Yeah. Yeah. And you learn from your parents, right? There are certain things that they did. I'm not going to make those mistakes with my kids.
Yeah.
And then you end up making worse. You don't make those mistakes, but you do something that's 10 times worse and then
Yeah.
messing them up even more. I think with parents, it's like, I think people who have really good relationships with their parents, I think they end up being happier individuals in life, more sorted. And you pass on those values. Like everything I'm teaching my kids is what my parents have taught me. My father is has some, he's got such high integrity that we've learned that from him.
Sure.
My brothers learned that from him. There's an instance, I think my brother he got a job and he got a signing bonus. And then I think a few months later, he got the job that he really wanted, right? So he joined that company and he returned his signing bonus because he said, it doesn't make me feel good. He's got that from my father.
I love that. I've never heard something like that.
He returned his signing bonus, he says, because, it's not right for me to keep it.
Dad, I need to meet this man. This is, I've never heard something like this.
Yeah,
In
but
2020
he's like that. And my father's like that. And we've learned it from him. Like, like, I think we have a family like the conscience is too high.
Right.
And his work ethic. I mean, you're talking about someone today who's 81 and he can outwork a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
Got
So
more
he's,
energy than
yeah,
all of
he's been a tea garden, person, and he's been at the tea factories and he sets up tea factories, and he will take off and he will work. I mean, today there's so much controversy about 60 घंटे काम करना चाहिए, 70 घंटे. Like how many hours you should be working in a heartbeat? Okay, he would work 16 to 18 hours even today. Okay, and he could do it 6 days a week
He's still doing it.
at the age of 81.
amazing.
He's standing in factories like 7 hours a day, even now at 81.
Factories with their furnaces and it's hot and there's no air
Wow.
conditioning and
So
any of that kind of
beautiful
stuff.
tea garden.
Oh, hell no.
Right there.
Yeah, but you're saying he's an engineer, right? He's always been an engineer and he's even now. And work is his life. I mean, the day he stops, he says, the day I stop, I'll drop.
There's a study which was done by a very insurance firm in America, which said that some crazy number like 50 to 70% of their people who after retiring in the next 2 years they claim the insurance because they're dying because no purpose.
Yeah.
My very big impact in my life is also my in-laws. My father-in-law, ex-army, now when he became a lawyer, he's going to be 76. His mantra is #people are good. He sees people from that lens. And I used to feel he's maybe comes from a protected background, not business. He's not shrewd enough, not seen the real world. He's seen everything. And now he's a lawyer and he's seen even more. But his lens is कि जो बुरा आदमी भी है ना उसमें भी कुछ अच्छा है आप उसकी तरफ देखो and वो आपका दोस्त बन जाएगा. Love that. And he goes into the most difficult situations where people are coming to for what I'm telling enemies, and he makes friends with them because he goes with that. It's like like Gautam Buddha going and saying ये सब तो आपने मुझे गाली दी but मैंने तो ली नहीं. Maybe he's like that, and he say यार my father says people who drink don't have confidence, they can't stand their own, and वो आदमी आदमी नहीं है. My father-in-law says जो पीता नहीं है वो आदमी आदमी नहीं है.
So they must be having a very good relationship, the two of them.
वो एक नींबू पानी पी रहे होते हैं, एक विस्की पी रहे होते हैं.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just feel that, like even with his dad, I mean, I can't have got a more chilled out father-in-law. Even when I'm screaming at the children, he would be like, he never, ever interfered. Even if he saw me doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think
never. And he's
yeah, when you say
always
daddy cool, I think he's the guy.
daddy
Just
cool.
he doesn't lose his cool.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
He's
That is
so chilled out. He's never interfered. He's never like, he was so relaxed. I talk to him like I talk to my friends, and all my friends are in shock. They're like, you said this to him? I was like, yeah. I mean, and the more inappropriate you are, the funnier he finds it, you know. So it's good fun also, you know, tell him something that you did, something really stupid or something really, like, you know, you said something really dumb. He'll laugh, you know.
It's interesting, and and all of us have been talking about how good our relationships are with our parents. Let's look at the other side of the coin, right? Where someone perhaps doesn't have the best relationship, where it is a little bit toxic.
See, parents, like, look at us. You know, they've coming from the same thing. You know, when you have a child, you have no bloody clue what to do, right? Your first kid is always your biggest experiment.
experiment.
You know, you're doing everything wrong with that poor child, and, you know, they are the ones who end up being more resilient and mentally tougher and, you know, also more screwed up,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
But your parents also had, like, I mean, they had even less to go on. We have so much more information as to
Yeah.
how to bring up your children. They had even less. You know, so they are coming from, and they've got their own relationships with their parents, you know. So, you know, once you grow older, you know, when you're a child, you're like, how, like, they're doing this to me, and you know, they're being mean to me, and they're not letting me do this, and I feel so hurt, and I feel so oppressed or whatever. When you grow up, you should realize that they have their own baggage.
Sure.
Okay. And the other thing is that, you know, now when you're older, I realize that you don't have much time with your parents, right? So, whatever it is, they're your parents. So, just make sure that, you know, you don't have any regrets. So, you do what you have to do. You reach out.
Yeah.
You be kind to them. You just reach out to them. Even if you have a toxic relationship, you try to be the best person you can for them. Because when they go, you will have a million regrets, which you don't want. And that, the regrets is what makes your grieving endless, right? I mean, if you've done everything for your family, if you've done, like, you know, you've been kind to them, good to them, loved them, done whatever you have can for them, you know, when they go, in any case, your life is shattered. But you'll find that without regrets, you'll be able to come out of it in a healthy manner. But with regrets, it will never go. You will forever say that I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that.
Sure.
So you should not have that. You know, you're going through so much, you know, you're getting bashed here, you're getting whacked there, and, you know, you're having such a tough time. And then the what keeps you really going is the fact that you have a home, a loving home to come back to.
And I think the other thing is that, no matter what and how sorted you think you are, when there is a crisis, you somehow always want to go back to your parents.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I got destroyed in the stock market, dad bailed me out, lag gayi, right? Like a bad business transaction, or maybe just, an uncomfortable situation. So somehow, the fact is that you just end up gravitating back towards them. I mean, sure, we have, each other and we'll have those conversations. But for that, I don't know, validation or bailout, you're kind of going back to your parents again.
और दो फैमिली हस्बैंड वाइफ बिस्तर पे लेटे हुए रात को सोने से पहले एक के पास यहाँ फोन पड़ा है एक के पास यहाँ फोन पड़ा है सोने से पहले दोनों फोन कर रहे हैं अच्छा ये हुआ मेरे साथ दूसरा वो कर रहे हैं देन दे स्लीपिंग टुगेदर बट वो दोनों अपने अपने सपोर्ट सर्कल्स को फोन कर रहे हैं दैट्स द परफेक्ट टाइप ऑफ पिक्चर राइट इट कुड बी पेरेंट इट कुड बी फ्रेंड सो वी ऑल नीड आउटसाइड द रिलेशनशिप आल्सो वी नीड आवर ओन
Basically,
sometimes
you
I
need
also
someone
talk.
to look after you.
yeah
You know,
Sometimes
you're always the caregiver.
to say कि सब
You need someone to take care of you.
As we come to like a concluding piece on this, I want to know like, okay, what have you taken from your parents, okay, and how have you taken it forward, with your kids because you have, a father to two girls. So what have been some of your parenting insights you picked from there and you actually took to the girls?
the easy way out which is the injecting the
Yes, to
वो वाला नहीं the easy way out which is when that वो every Sunday come what may Gurdwara and Arya Samaj Mandir and they have to listen to the whole Gurbani Kirtan whatever and so that worked for me it came later अंदर सब चले जाता है बाद में बाहर आता है so we are also doing the same
Awesome. And for you, what is it something that
You-
was asked you first? What came from, your parents and that you were instilled in Nirvana Noina?
Again, this integrity, be a good person and be true to yourself. You know, you have to be authentic and don't let people walk all over you. You know, you have to be tough. And like my mom says, right? Don't ever be the cause of anyone's pain. And it's like, you know, just be the, and what they did for me, I'm trying to do for them, right?
Sure.
It's like just being there for them. Just
थप्पड़ वप्पड़
वो तो खत्म हो गया.
नहीं I'm saying to आपने से
थप्पड़.
forward भी तो करने थे.
No, I slapped them a lot less than I got slapped because I was very stubborn.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot. Like, I had these back to my kids.
Yeah. So again, I think about telling them that they need to be authentic. I think that authenticity is something that's really missing. So I think that's something I've really asked them to do. I said be persistent. Don't throw in the towel. I think my dad's always said that like never give in has our motto, right? So I think that is another message that I push forth to them. I think I've been guilty perhaps of not spending as much time with them as I should, and I think that's where you've come in. You've done like a fantastic job there. So again, I haven't ever hit them. So my parents never hit me. I never actually hit them, but also maybe because I'm less exposed to some of the madness that they've been up to as well. But yeah, I think I've just told them to be authentic, be genuine, hang in there. The world is gonna beat you up. Like almost like that Rocky movie, right? When he's like the world's gonna beat you up. It's a mean ass place. So I think don't throw in the towel. I mean, in the past there've been times that they said we're done, we're quitting. Like you're not. I said because today, I mean, it's a bad classmate. Tomorrow it's going to be a bad relationship.
That is
it's going to be a bad boss. You
that
don't
is
give
the
in.
most important advice I think a parent can give, because हमारा दिल करता है चल कोई बात नहीं छोड़ दे.
No,
Yeah.
there.
So we're like,
We're
that's
both
not
like,
happening. I think we're both on that same page, right? So
you stick it out now.
Then my heart melts like this. Can I do that?
Actually, he's softer in certain ways. Like, and
आप
I'm
दोनों boarding से आए हो ना, so you've been through that discipline.
yeah, but like with your kids, you tend to want to treat them with kids' gloves and cotton candy and wrap them in cotton wool and all that. I'm like, nope. You have
Parting
a
piece-
problem? Handle.
So parting piece of advice, Avi, for everyone listening in, for wherever they are with their, parents, relationship wise and everything else, what parting piece of advice do you want to give?
Parting thing would be that they're not gods. You treat them like God. You expect from them कि वो भगवान वाले मेरे सारे आशीर्वाद उन्होंने ही देने हैं. So they're just like you.
The human.
That's one. And the second thing is that if it's not working out, give it time. If it has to work out, it'll work out. Don't take life too seriously.
Love that.
Yeah.
From your perspective.
Don't have ego when it comes to your parents and your family. And when you let that go, you'll find everything working out. They will say things that upset you. How can you tell me this? I'm 50 years old. I'm 48 years old. You're still, giving me gyan. Take it. Just take it quietly.
Yeah.
And say thank you. Don't fight.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, it would just be the fact that just know that they're coming from a good place. They don't mean, bad towards you. It's just that their thought, perspective might be different. They grew up in different times. They grew up in times of lack. They grew up in times of struggle. We grew up in better times, and our kids today are growing up in bloody good times, right? So I think everyone just came from a different place, and there is past baggage. And I always say, even in sales, when I say go in and understand your customer, understand your parent, like just see where they've come from. There is a reason why they're doing what they're doing. Dil pe mat lo. And I would end by saying khush raho bas.
Khush raho bas. Awesome.
No, that's my new
Awesome.
mantra as well. So thank you for that. Avi, like I said, man, thank you so much.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Thank you. Rub this.
and right, and this is
Roller coaster.
the first time we had anyone on, and I'm just glad it was you.
Amazing.
And there you have it. So love roller coaster. The episode's in the bag, and let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel. Her first time on camera, and I know she's really crushing it. Avi, of course, and myself, we're veterans. But hey, send us your comments. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you'd like to hear more of, because this podcast is about you and just bringing more value to each and every one of you. So thank you very much.